Welcome to Urza, Lord High Artificer. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, we can keep on this one. And we're playing against Urza. If you're keeping score at home, we've got the mirror match. Talk about Spider-Man pointing at each other. And our opponent's on the play. So hopefully this will be a fun match. I know my build of Urza is a little bit more of a fun-based build. So we'll see what we're up against, because you can build Urza pretty gnarly sometimes. So that's something that we want to keep our fingers crossed so we don't run into stuff like Winter Orb and different things like that. And look at that! Our opponent's off to a beautiful start. That is looks like Modern Affinity right there. Let's go and lead off with Island. And we have no turn one play, so we're simply just going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent and kick it back over there. So we're playing Urza, Lord High Artificer. Whenever Urza enters the battlefield, create a 0 colorless construct creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Then tap an untapped artifact you control. Add blue mana to your mana pool. As you can see, turn 2, opponent's going to have Urza down and have still access to counter magic with disallow, with counter spell, whatever they need. So you can see where Urza is pretty busted sometimes, but it's some good magic though. Wouldn't trade it. Let's go Island, and then we'll go and pass turn over our opponent. So finish covering Urza, get that construct token, tap an untap artifact you control, add blue mana to your mana pool, and that includes clue tokens. Let's say you get a clue token down, you can tap down this construct token. It's something that you're not used to in Magic. In my first video, I didn't realize I could tap down the clue. I mean, I knew I could. It was just I'm not used to that interaction, so I skipped over it. And but yeah, you can do that. Then for a 5-mana activation, if you needed something to do with your mana, shuffle your library, exile the top card of your exile the top card. Then until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. So opponent's gonna, not too crazy. There's not really a ton of bad stuff on our opponent's side at this point right now, so we're kind of happy about that. Lead off with Reliquary Tower. And I think we end up going for Mere Propagator. Yeah, I like that. So we're going to go for Mere Propagator. Once we get that down, that does allow us to kind of sink some extra mana to start making a few extra copies. And since we do have a Fetch Land in the hand and we do have Brainstorm, we're going to hold on to that. That way we can kind of shuffle a few things around if we need to find some sort of answer. Then hopefully if we can get down Urza, our opponent didn't get down anything like Winter Orb or anything like that, maybe we can very slowly build up a Mere Propagator army, and I don't know, just kind of go from there. But yeah, as far as the deck goes, there's a lot of different stuff you can run with Urza. One of the main things that we're trying to do with this deck is we want to be able to utilize that extra mana as much as possible. So fun things like a Mere Propagator, being able to make a copy of that, once you get a token of that, then you can really start sinking in some extra mana in there, especially if you can give them haste. I don't know, it's just a lot of fun things to do with that. It looks like our opponent's got a pretty fun little build of Urza, so it looks like we've got a fun little matchup, especially if we can stop this construct token. But outside of that, you just got ways to kind of sink your mana in there. We do have a couple different ways that we can generate some extra value with these creatures. Let's say we get down Psy, Master Thopterus, being able to cast these artifacts, get those Thopters on the battlefield, and at the same time being able to tap those Thopters down to gain some mana. That is some good magic right there. All right, so we are sitting at 18. I think at this point, and also some of these clue tokens and treasure tokens, they're such a good addition in this stack. So let's go Scavenging Grounds. We're going to go for Urza. We're going to have Urza enter the battlefield. And I think at this point, we're going to get an extra construct token. There's no more artifacts we can go for. We do have access to 2 total mana. So I think at this point, we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. We might flash in Snapcaster if we need to for some reason, but we're at a point now to where hopefully we can kind of keep that big construct token from swinging across, and especially if we can start untapping this Mere Propagator. But like I mentioned earlier, you can tap down an artifact to add mana to your mana pool. Running spells like Pirate's Prize is such a good effect in Urza. Draw 2 cards, create a colorless treasure artifact not creature, but an artifact token, and then you can sacrifice to add mana. But with Urza, that basically just turns this into you get a Lotus Petal that you never have to sacrifice. You get a free blue Mox, and that's basically what Pirate's Prize equates to. So that's some pretty good action. We'll see what else our opponent's going to get down for the turn. But like I mentioned, the crazy thing with Urza is just building the stacks effects to where, if you get down Winter Orb, and if it's untapped or tapped or something like that during your turn, you can untap your permanents. So you can build a very, very impressive build of Urza, but it looks like our opponent's got a fun build too, and we've got a fun build too. And the cool thing about Urza is you just get to the point where you've just got so much mana that you just need stuff to dump it into. And with Binding, even things like Binding of Thassa, there's a lot of times where you may not want to run that in a certain deck just because it's so hard to get that going. Then there's just other times where you can just cash in some card draw. Okay, and then especially with Chrome Mox, because the cool thing about Chrome Mox is that it is a May ability. You may exile a card, and if you don't, then you just get to tap it down. So, and also if you heard that little bit of banging in the background, that was my production assistant Dorothy. If you don't know, she's my cat, and she likes to whenever I'm recording, she likes to go bang on the blinds so I can open the blinds for her. And then she doesn't look out the blinds, but she just likes to go lay down. So it's kind of like a power move by her to let me know that hey, you're doing something. And opponent's got sword of the new sword in there, so that's pretty sweet. I didn't even think about adding sword packages in here. Something like Sword of Feast and Famine would be great in a deck like this. So looks like we'll be able to untap with a little bit of extra mana, and then we can finally go for this Mere Propagator, which I'm really excited about. So we run into Hangerback Walker, protection from red and black, and deals combat damage to a player. So I think at this point, so we can go Flooded Strand. That's going to be the land drop for the turn. We have access to 3 mana from your Propagator. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got access to 7 total mana. I think we want to go for Hangerback Walker, because if they end up going for Sword, we can at least block with Hangerback Walker, and we'll be able to cash in a few extra Thopters. Yeah, I like that, so we're going to go for that. Let's go ahead and go for Brainstorm really quick. We're going to cash in a little bit of card draw, and then definitely want to hold on to Arcane Denial. Let's, at this point, let's put Pirate's Prize back. And I think we'll put Island back, because we're about to get to the point where we're going to cash in some pretty good mana. So let's go and crack this Flooded Strand. We're going to get Island down, shuffle away a few of those extra cards, and let's go for a Hangerback Walker. Okay, so we're going to have Hangerback Walker and enter the battlefield, and anything else we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We do have 1 mana available. Unfortunately, we don't have any other spells, but being able to draw into Arcane Denial, and at this point in the game, being able to just counter something that our opponent's trying to get to stick on the battlefield, hopefully that should allow us to maybe kind of stabilize and build up a little bit of a bigger board state. But this is what makes Urza so fun, is that, let's say that we get down Hangerback Walker. Oh, bummer. Opponent's going to go for Reality Shift on that Hangerback Walker. That was a beautiful play, because with that Reality Shift, what I was about to explain was if we end up getting Hangerback Walker to get some Thopters on the battlefield, it's like, being able to cash these Thopters into just like little boxes is such a nice feeling for Urza. And as far as if you haven't built Urza, I highly recommend it. Urza's a lot of fun. You don't go out and buy like a crazy expensive deck, but if you've got the cards for Urza, highly recommend it. The funny thing is, it's just there's just so many games where you get down Urza and you just get to so much mana. It's just insanely I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of spells that you can run in here that are high mana spells, because you just end up with so many artifacts on the battlefield. You can see where if we got this Hangerback Walker going, got those Thopters going, we've got Thopter Spy Network in here, which is going to be an extra mox every single turn. You just accelerate really quick on mana. And you don't necessarily have to build Urza as a little bit of a stack style deck. You can definitely... It's a really good commander. You can do a lot of goofy stuff. I mean, look at this. Opponent's got double swords, protection from red and black. We're definitely going to be blocking with this Manifest token. And we don't want to let that damage come across. Now, we will end up be taking 9, which I'm not wild about. Yeah, because, yeah, we need to let that happen. So we're going to go Manifest token on Urza. And then we're going to take 9. That's going to put us down to 1. So hopefully we can build up a little bit of a different board state after this. That still gives them a card draw. But it feels kind of good to lose to Urza and a little bit of a value build like this. So we'll see what we draw into for next turn. At least we can go Lightning Greaves. And as long as we can just get enough bodies on the battlefield, we still have Mirror that we can make an extra token of. We have Snapcaster we can flash in, though technically it's not an artifact. And... we'll see what the top card is if they got lucky. Island, okay. And that's one of the reasons why in one of my other videos, why didn't you start dumping mana into Urza? There's just some times where I'd rather cast stuff than just hit an island like that. That's not too much fun. So let's see what we draw into for the turn. Draw into Lotus Petal. That's good. And that's basically just a free spell. So we're going to go for Lotus Petal. And at this point, we just need to get as many creatures on the battlefield. We could end up going for Lightning Greaves or Hedron Archive, but I kind of like leaving up Disallow, Arcane Denial. We've got Hedron Archive. Snapcaster we can flash in. So let's do that. Let's just simply just going to go and pass the turn. Pretty much everything that we've got in our hand besides these Lightning Greaves. Well, actually, let's double check how much mana we need, because we need to have 2 blockers to block on the Construct token in Urza. And then we can flash in Snapcaster to block on the construct token. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. That still should leave us enough mana for an activation for Mere Propagator. And then hopefully we can get on Hedron Archive next turn and maybe stay. One of the good things about playing its mono blue is, there is that Sonic Blast, I think that's what it's called, which is a blue burn spell. But for the most part, we don't have to worry about any sort of random damage from our opponent. So, all right, let's see how they decide to swing in with this. I've got 7 cards in the hand. And so let's flash in Snap. Actually, we'll go for Mirror Activation. It's going to be 1, 2. It's going to be an extra blue. It's going to create a token that's a copy of it. Let's flash in Snapcaster Mage. And what we're going to do on the Snapcaster is we're going to block on, let's go put Brainstorm as the, so let's go ahead and block Snapcaster on Urza and then the Construct token on the Construct token. And then that still allows us to end up going for Brainstorm off of Lotus Petal, just to dig just a little bit deeper in our library to hopefully find something. Now we get to the point where we can go for these double mirror activations and then hopefully maybe kind of stabilize. We'll see what else we can get into. The only equalizer in this matchup is going to be Biding of Thassa. The fact that they can deal combat damage and draw a card. So if we can keep that away and kind of keep them at bay with this Construct token in Urza, we might be able to do something. Let's see if they're... Okay, Wayfarer's Bauble. That feels pretty good. Don't have to worry about that one. That's something we can definitely let resolve. And with Urza's ability, we can still counter that because it's basically just a free spell. So we'll see what else they're going to be hitting out the top with Urza. And, this is some fun. Ooh, Ugin. Okay. Show up to 1 permanent that's 1 or more colors. Yeah, I think we've got to go for Arcane Denial on this one. Yeah. All right, so we're going to Arcane Denial and Ugin. That's going to be... Now, if they've got a counterspell, they've got it. They've got the mana for it. They've got 2 open blue mana. They've got all the artifacts. Oh, Swan Song. Okay. That's fair enough. All right, so they're going to be able to get down Ugin. That still gives us Mere Propagator. We'll see if we've got enough mana. All right, so they go for the +1. I like that. Not going to go for the -3 of destroying Urza. And that'll give us the opportunity to at least go for Lightning Greaves to get some protection on Urza. And since we did have to tap out for the Arcane Denial, we're not going to be able to go for Brainstorm. So a little bit of a downside, a little bit of a bummer, but we can make that work. All right, so we're running to Plague Mirror. First things first, let's go and go for Lightning Greaves. And that way we can get that protected onto Urza. There we go. And see, this is the other good thing is, it's just going to stack. You get all this extra mana. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, we can go double mirrors, I think. And then we've got Frankie the Bird token. Yeah, I think I like that. Yeah, so let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we've got double mirror activations. We can start to block on Urza. We can block on that Construct token. And a big shout out to our opponent for not going for that -3. But I do see where, they could go for the +1 simply just to kind of build up a board state to hopefully close it out. We are sitting at 1, so if they can sneak 1 creature in. And if, fingers crossed, if you're keeping score at home, if they end up, let's say they get like 15 Mana Crypt or 10 Mana Crypt triggers wrong, then we might be able to close this one out. We've at least got the Mana Crypt trigger game plan going for us. So they're going to go for Ugin activation. And the only downside is with them going for the +1 is they're definitely going to be able to outpace us with Mere Propagator. So we'll see if we can't kind of maybe stabilize in some form or fashion. Because once we get an extra one on the battlefield, that's an extra activation. Let's see what the top card is. That's going to be... Okay, so they do run into a counterspell. So they can cast that for... until the end of turn. So that's not going to be the best thing. We do have to watch out for it, if we do end up going for Disallow. But at this point, we want to go for these activations off Mere Propagator. Okay, so I'm going to go for another Urza activation. That's going to be Island. Okay, we can definitely live with that. We do need to... The good thing about Ugin is Ugin doesn't have an ultimate, so we can kind of dirtle a little bit without having to worry about that. Now, if it's the big mana Ugin with that extra damage, that's something we do need to watch out for. Okay, so let's make a token with Mere Propagator. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to go for blocks. We're going to go for Bird token on the Construct. We're going to go Mere Propagator on Urza. And then we're going to go Urza on that Spirit token. And then also, before we go to damage, we're going to click OK. We're going to go for a Mirror activation. Let's go and tap down Lightning Greaves. We're going to tap down Lotus Petal. And then we'll tap down this last little Mirror Propagator. That way we can get a little bit ahead. And we're going to go for this last activation of this Mirror Propagator. So it's going to be an extra Mirror token. And that's kind of wild. Look, we've got 3 of them on the battlefield now. Then hopefully you can cue the Benny Hill music to do as all these mirrors start running around. And you know, if we can get this to keep up with the Ugin token, it's going to be hard because that +1's going to be really easy for them, and it's going to be really hard. We can at least get down Plague Mirror next turn. What could be really nice is, and man, I don't think I put it in here. A little bit of a bummer, but I don't think we put the big mirror in here. The mirror rollerball. I can't remember his name right now. I wish we put it in here. My thinking was we could just get so many tokens on the battlefield with the stuff like Thopter Spy Network and Psy, that 7 mana might be a little bit of a clunky hand. I was trying to keep the converted mana cost of this deck really low in the actual beginning. So, well, hopefully we can just get a few more extra creatures on the battlefield. That way we can start blocking and being able to dodge double new swords, swords of steel and stuff. That is a really good feeling. So let's see what they're going to grab off of Fabricate, and then we'll jump back into it. Okay, and opponent's oh no, opponent's gonna go for Conjurer's Closet. That is a good option right there, because this is gonna allow them to bounce Urza turn after turn and get that construct token on the battlefield. So if keeping score at home again, once again, it's not looking good, but I don't know. We might be able to close it out. We'll see. We'll see what can happen. Now, one of the options that we do have is we do have Cyclonic Rift. So if we can find Cyclonic Rift, send everything back, that might help us. But let's see what we draw into. Draw into Walking Ballista. Okay, so we go for Plague Mirror. It's at least going to give us another artifact we can tap down with and be another creature that we can block. And that's going to put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to have 9 total mana, so that's going to be just enough for activations off these Mirror Propagators. That does put us at 5 tokens, too. So we'll see what we can do. That's going to be, that's going to be rough. We could try to go for Walking Ballista and take care of one of the creatures, but I think at this point, let's just go and pass the turn. That way we can go for a few more activations. We'll see what they end up swinging in with. One of the good things is that they don't have trample off these construct tokens, but you can see, I don't have Conjurer's Closet in my build, and I'm definitely going to add Conjurer's Closet after this, because you can see how good it is with Urza. One of the videos that I already recorded with Urza, there was one time where our opponent got, I think, Call of the Grave down. And that's where they, at the beginning of each upkeep, target player or a player sacrifices a non-zombie creature. And so with that on the battlefield, you just get to this point where you have so much mana that I was sacrificing Urza every single turn, and then I was going for the getting those construct tokens was a really good thing. Now our opponents, they're going to get Sword of the Animist on Urza, and then equip some of these swords on some of these creatures. Now we're going to have to declare blockers, because they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 6 creatures on the battlefield. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's going to be, well, excuse me, they got 5 creatures that can swing and attack. We've got access to 9 total mana, so we can kind of rebuild our board state. But we're kind of in this weird spot to where we basically just kind of lose a bunch of stuff. Just tapping out just to make a trade, just kind of fog out the combat step. And with them being able to go for the +1 and going for that exile effect, that just makes it really hard for us to kind of keep up with that. All right, they're going to go for the Urza activation. That's another island, okay. I'm happy with that. And they're going to have Spellseeker. Oh no, Spellseeker. Converting mana cost 2 or less. Let's see what they grab off of Spellseeker, because if it is end up being Cyclonic Rift, we still have Disallow to stop that. So let's see what they grab off of Spellseeker. Pull from tomorrow. Ooh, that is... it's going to be pretty rough on that pull from tomorrow. They've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's the other good thing that you can run in Urza is by running these draw spells. You just end up drawing it. You have so much mana, you end up drawing a ton of cards. So they're going to go for Sword of the Animist trigger. That's going to be a basic land on the battlefield. And we'll go and block, I think, Urza on Urza. We're going to block Plague Mirror on one of the construct tokens, Mirror Propagator on one of the construct tokens, Mirror Propagator, and then Mirror Propagator. Since we are sitting at 1, that's what we have to do. All right, before we go to damage, we're going to tap down a few more artifacts. Okay, there we go. So we get a few more Propagators on the battlefield. And you can see if we weren't playing against Urza in the mirror match for, turn after turn, if we go for these Propagator activations, we can come out and keep them around. It's a great way to sink your mana and just a really fun way to kind of build up your board state. But our opponent's finally going to be able to catch up with us on this one. Like I mentioned, they've got pull from tomorrow. So even if we end up going for Cyclonic Rift, it's going to be hard for us to kind of stabilize on this. So And that's going to be another 14/14 construct token. So let's see what we draw into. Even if we run into Cyclonic Rift, it's not going to do much, and we run into Impulse. Okay. I think they're going to get it on this one. Let's go for Impulse, just to kind of dig just a little bit deeper. But we're going to go and toss the good game up to them. And that was a lot of fun. And oh, there we go, run into Psy. So we'll grab Psy, put those on the bottom in any order. We can tap down an artifact. Now, if we had Psy a little bit earlier in the game, you can definitely see where being able to cast some of these artifacts, it would have been a good way to kind of, for us to keep up with that. So we'll at least try to get a few extra creatures on the battlefield. We'll go and cast Walking Ballista, because I think, yeah, whenever we cast an artifact spell, that's just going to be a free spell. It's going to go to the graveyard. We're going to get a 1/1 Thopter token. And then, but yeah, you can definitely see where if we had Psy down, we got the Propagators going, and we start tapping down some Thopters, it ends up being a really nice board state. But that's going to be it. Good game to our opponent. They're going to push past. We simply just cannot get enough creatures to stop this this battle. So, and plus, it's always good to get you know, get a mirror match when it's a new commander. You get Urza versus Urza, and our opponent was playing a fun build with Urza, just kind of go wide. But yeah, if you're thinking about building Urza, I highly recommend going the go wide version of this. You know, this video is a wonderful thing for you to get some sort of, you know, different cards you can pull from. You can see our opponents running the Conjurer's Closet in here. I've got the Mirror Propagator line of play, so you can definitely throw together a really nice Urza deck. And, you know, the money in an Urza deck is just getting down artifacts, you know, stuff like Chrome Mox, Bobble, you know, being able to just amplify your mana as quickly as possible. That definitely helps you close the game out. But good game to our opponent. They're going to get this last Sword of the Animus trigger. And we could not build a robot army quick enough to keep up with the other robot army on the other side of the battlefield. So good game to our opponent. Look at all those beautiful triggers, especially, you know, even something like Binding of Thassa, being able to just get rewarded for swinging in with some of these tokens. So good game to our opponent. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.